sound.
There we go. I think we're live on Facebook. Sorry, it looks like we're a couple minutes late. Yikes. And Andrea's got to leave a little early, so we're going to get in as many of Andrea's books as we can. She got on early, so she's going to be first. But if she pops off on us and waves and says goodbye, we'll say goodbye early to Andrea officially, right?
Thank you.
Just going to give a Facebook another minute or two to let people know that we're here. Tom, it's been a while.
I was going to say, I feel strange. I feel like it has been way too long. It's been at least 2 weeks, and that's too long. Yeah.
Too
I've
long.
been traveling. I've been to
You're
sales
doing some good
conference.
stuff.
Yeah. But I'm happy to be back.
Tom, do you have more figures in the background, action figures in the background than last time?
No, the same number. Haven't added to them, but maybe
Not Edgar Allan Poe. I want
yeah.
that.
Somehow they're clearer. That's good, I guess. It's
Well,
possible
we don't
that
have-
they've fallen and I put them back up. Maybe.
Well, we don't have Barbara covering them up, so that could
That's true. Yeah.
be. We don't have Barbara covering. So
Pretty
that
soon, I gotta. We have the Al Pacino coming in the fall, so maybe that goes up.
Although I have to say, he almost
Oh.
pulled a Warren Beatty last night.
What
On
was that announcement?
what was that? My eyes see up, and I was just like,
We'll just call it classic Al. Like that was.
I'm not sure
only,
that was
only
even-
Al could do that.
You know Al, how you do.
I was just sort of like, I was waiting for another Warren Beatty moment. Honestly, I was like, was it really Oppenheimer?
But did we?
Really?
I did read this morning that it was supposed to be Al and Michelle Pfeiffer, I think, who were in what? Oh,
Frankie and
Scarface.
Johnny.
But also Scarface, right?
Mhm.
So
Was she in Scarface?
I think so. So I think it was supposed to be a reunion, like they do, and then for whatever reason she couldn't do it, and then left Al hanging. So
Poor Al.
that's any.
You could tell he
Poor
needed
Al.
somebody to help him a little bit. Okay, knowing that Andrea needs to go, it's gonna go Andrea, Tom, Gabe, and Julia, unless one of you turn your camera off and throw me off again. But we
I
hope
just
that
I
doesn't
just want to
happen.
say I just want to add just to end that discussion. It was Michelle Pfeiffer's fault.
Okay,
Oh.
there we go. Okay, well, yeah, I guess. Wait, maybe. I don't
Never
know.
Al's fault.
Never Al's fault. Can't be a dude. And that's what the first thing I thought about, Andrea, sorry I'm taking time with this, but the first thing I thought about was like another old white dude just effing up, man. So just saying. But anyways, Andrea, rescue me.
This semi-white woman is going to lead off with Grove Press, Wild Houses from Colin Barrett, yet another Grove Press young Irish writer. Well, Claire Keegan's a little bit older than him, probably about 10 years older, but a great young Irish writer. He has 2 short story writers. Financial Times says that he's one of the best short story writers in writing in English. So, and this is a debut novel here, as Grove really wanted to build him as a house author. And so we have Wild Houses. And basically this is the story of a small economically challenged town in Ireland, which is in some ways one of the characters here. 2 outsiders get caught in a small town revenge kidnapping that's gone wrong. Think like a Coen movie without the wood chipper. But yes, some harrowing things do ensue in this kidnapping that's gone awry. The writing's great. One of the outsider down on his luck character's mother plays like a really great part here, and this is just very well done. And his first books, short stories, were Homesickness and Young Skins, and they were met with very good reviews and sold well for Grove and PGW. And there's just a ton of great reviews and whatnot, but I'm going to move on so that the next person can share their no doubt stellar title.
I love that cover.
Yeah, it's great. It's
It's
great.
a really good cover. So I look forward to reading that one. Okay, I have to comment though. See, people are commenting about my short hair online. And I went to visit my grandchildren and saw way more pictures of myself than I probably wanted to or needed to. And was looking at my hair and went, something's got to give. So she chopped into it a little bit.
It looks good.
It
Jury's
looks
still
good.
out. I don't want the bubble. I don't want a bobblehead. So I don't know. But thanks, everybody. Thanks for
Good,
that.
babe. Looks good.
Thanks. All right. Okay, Tom.
Now you need some more pictures with the grandkids to
Oh
see
my
how
God, no.
the new Julie looks.
So okay, you know what got me? You know what really got me? There were a lot of profile pictures. I know I have my father's nose, but I didn't realize it was that big.
Oh,
And
oh.
I was just like, holy cow, is this my profile? Jesus. Anywho. Okay, Tom.
Okay, so Julie, you know what I'm going to talk about. I have been dying to talk about. Yeah, there it is. So Tana French's The Hunter on sale last week. I missed last week, so I couldn't talk about it for the on sale, but it's out now. It's second week. So anytime we have a new Tana French, it is a huge. They don't come along very often. Every 3 years, it feels like. So this is the follow-up to The Searcher, which was her last book. It's been 2 years since The Searcher, so every 2 years roughly. So she's left Dublin behind with these two books, and she's in the country of Ireland. She's out in the rural Ireland, a town called, I think it's a fictional town, right? Ardnakelty. But because it's Tana, it feels so real.
Oh, I was looking for it.
Yeah, I know exactly. So in the first book, you had Cal, who was a retired Chicago cop, retired to rural Ireland to just fix up a house, just do nothing, like leave his past behind. But of course, in these stories, there's always trouble. Trouble's going to find him. But then the first book was so much about his relationship with Trey, a young girl who now in this book is 2 years older. She's 15, so she's a real teenager. So there's a lot, again, about the relationship between Cal, the rough Chicago cop, and this Irish teenager. And then into this small town comes Trey's long lost father. What a character, Johnny Reddy. And he's got a scheme to bring in all the townspeople, and they're going to find gold in these that is hidden in the mountains of Ardnakelty. So it's a book about revenge. It's about some of the best scenes. My favorite scenes are the scenes in the pub where the dialogue goes back and forth. They're funny. They're so, you can just picture this dialogue happening. She's really in a class by herself when it comes to character and setting. So this, again, setting feels so real. It's a great thing. And then as Julie uncovered when she interviewed Tana, and now I've heard her say it a couple more times, she didn't intend this to be a trilogy. I think she didn't even intend a second book at first. Now we have a second book, and so now she feels like there's one more story to tell, at least, about Ardnakelty. So that'll be coming sometime in the future. But in the meantime, if you haven't read Tana's Dublin Murder Squad, jump in anywhere. Or if you want to, I do think you don't have to have read. Well, Julie,
Okay, I'm going to tell you. Okay,
yeah.
I did not read The Searcher. Okay, which was the previous.
Right.
And I completely, it could stand alone.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah.
Because she does do a good job. There's just one little story that goes along with Trey's brother that you don't really have the whole story.
Right.
But you don't really need it. She covers enough that you understand what's happening. You could definitely read this. You could start with this, go back and figure out Trey's story. You can go in. I personally think you can go in any order with them.
That's great. Well, so I've always felt like because I've read her from the very beginning and followed her with each book, and she's a great crime writer. She's one of the great crime writers, but she's so much more than that. She's a really good novelist. And so I'll leave one last review from the Washington Post by Maureen Corrigan. She calls it an extraordinary sequel. And then she says, French violates more than her share of hallowed rules about writing in general and suspense writing in particular. By now, any reader who still thinks French should follow the rules doesn't deserve a remarkable novel. So that's The Hunter, the
Yep.
latest bestseller by Tana French.
It's so good. And she and I in the interview, because I specifically asked her about the dialogue, if it was fun or if it was
Yes.
hard, she goes, she loves writing it. So you could tell.
Yeah.
'Cause
And then we've
it's
talked about
really
how
good.
she's a former she was an actress. And so dialogue and character come very easily to her, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, Gabe.
All right, I'm going to start with The Formula by Joshua Robinson and Jonathan Clegg. Joshua Robinson is a European sports writer, and he brings us the wonderful world of Formula One racing and the transformation of the sport, and the huge growth of the sport, and a lot of it having to do with its finally penetrating the American market. Formula One's been around I don't know, 70 years, forever, the 40s. They've been racing Formula One Grand Prix in Europe for decades. In America, when you talked about racing, it's NASCAR and it's IndyCar racing. For some reason, Formula One always sexy. I mean, there's nothing sexier than a Formula F1 IndyCar driver. I mean, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, you'd have 4 or 5 deaths a year. The cars would just crash, blow up. It was some crazy, crazy stuff. But through a lot of grit and a lot of determination, the sport really evolved. I've seen guys hit a wall at like 140 miles an hour. And just like, you hear them, they get up, they pop out of the car, they take their gear off, and they hop out, and there they go, jump in the ambulance, and an hour later, they show the paddock, and they're sitting there sipping a Coke or something. It's a sport that is a really, really expensive sport. Someone like Lewis Hamilton, who's won 7 championships in a row, came up, a relatively lower middle class, working class kid that was able to start racing. These days, parents got to have a lot of money to get a kid hauled around Europe and Asia, because now they're racing in Singapore, they're racing in Bahrain, they're racing in Abu Dhabi. It's a really interesting story about this really classic race formula that's existed for decades, and how through a lot of, like I said, grit and experimentation, they run cars. They were the first to go. They run electric hybrid cars for years, 6 cylinders, hybrids. They save a lot of energy. There's a lot of really forward engineering going on in these cars and these programs. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. I think each team's got I think it costs like $1 billion. You have 150 to 200 people. They've got like buildings and things and compounds. It's really, really quite the process and quite the amount of money being spent. But a page turner, like I said, Formula One's blown up. Netflix started airing a show, Drive to Survive, like 5 seasons ago, and that really helped explode the game. So that's always fun to watch. It's a little chatty, it's a little dishy, but at the same time, it's racing and it's real intimate, and you get to know the personalities, and it's a lot of fun to watch. So it's every Saturday, 26 weeks, 23 races a year, almost every other week they're racing. So it's quite the worldwide phenomenon.
All right. So maybe I was Googling while you were talking, because I remember, and maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, but didn't we have a California 500 back in the 70s?
They used to run a NASCAR race, the Marlboro 500.
No, not the NASCAR, Formula Ones. Weren't they Formula cars?
No, they ran a NASCAR race, and then they ran a IndyCar race.
Oh, it was Indy cars. Okay. I went out there. But we
there
did
was
Grand Prix in
Formula
Long
One.
Beach.
Yeah, there was
Which
a
ran
Formula
Indy
One in
cars.
Long Beach.
But
Yeah.
they ran Indy cars, not Formula One cars.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I thought it was Formula One.
I thought it was Formula One too.
Just read the book, yeah.
Oh God. Well,
Obviously, we've seen there's a need for the book.
the 70s, so maybe those
Clearly.
brain cells are definitely gone.
I
So
mean, whatchamacallit, the US Festival, dude. That's all you
1970.
remember. They tell you went to the US Festival.
I was
Yeah.
because this is what I don't remember, but I was in a motorhome for whatever race. I don't know. Neighbors, and we were in the cars were spinning around. That's all I know.
My band, my high school band used to play there. I know intimately because we used to play
It was
we had
probably
a
19,
parade.
it was probably like 74. That was, yeah, probably like 12, 13. That's
Wow.
fun
Exactly,
times.
exactly then.
Yeah. All right, Julia, rescue me again.
Okay. Well, I don't have any fast cars, but I do have a local author. I have Laura McNeil, and
Right.
her book is The Swan's Nest. Oops. And this comes out tomorrow. There's an event at Warwick's on what, Wednesday? Or when is the event?
Yeah, no, tomorrow, Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay, it's tomorrow.
Yep.
And this is a really fun, it's like a book nerd's favorite book because not only is it extremely well written and really fun, but it is also the love story between Elizabeth Barrett and Robert Browning fictionalized. So it's like if you are into a good, I don't want to call it a romance because it's not a romance, but it's a historical fiction novel that has this and their actual real romance sort of at the center of it all. It's Laura is a storied author. She's written a number of other books that have done really well. Dark Water was the finalist for the National Book Award in Young People's Literature, which was one of her previous books. And she is just a great read. She's a great writer. And this one, particularly if you love a good love story and letters, this is one to check out.
Okay. And Dee's on here saying something for book nerds. She's in.
Yep.
And I do want to say also that I think it was Dee that put this on here. Somebody's calling you out here on Gabe. Somebody did a little Wikipedia search. Oh, Kim did a little Wikipedia search here. And she says that there were Formula One cars at the Grand Prix in Long Beach.
They were what?
Formula One cars at the Grand Prix in Long Beach. I
really do remember that.
I do kind of remember it.
There is the Grand Prix in Long Beach, but
Right. No, so I might have confused you because I was talking about the California race, but then we got into the Long Beach thing. So I think Long Beach was Formula One cars, but we're just like.
Well, see, we would be
The
all
weight
up
of
on
evidence is
they look
going
very
against
similar.
you.
They look
Yeah.
very similar.
All right. Anyways, Kim, what do you have for us?
Okay. Okay, my first book is Percival Everett's new novel, James. It comes out next week and it's brilliant. It's for sure going to be one of the biggest books of the year. It's incredible. I'm not going to be able to do it justice. I'm still it's still reeling around in my head. James is a retelling of Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn with the Black slave Jim, now James, as the main character. And as in Huckleberry Finn, James and Huck are both on the run for different reasons, heading north along the Mississippi River on a raft. And in this retelling, James is a highly intelligent, very well educated, thoughtful and compassionate man, but he hides his true self behind his sort of dumb Black slave persona that all enslaved Blacks put on in order to survive within, the society of slavery, white racism. And there's even a funny scene in the book, funny and sad, right? Where James is teaching his daughter and her friend how to speak slave talk and how to act around white people to make them feel safe and in control. And anyway, the book follows the general plot of and the main characters of Huckleberry Finn, but he adds some scenes that are incredible, and it's incredible the way suddenly you're being told this story by a Black man who's literally running for his life and running through this chaos, trying to save his family. And you know, as opposed to Huckleberry Finn, which is this sort of, you know, it's an American satire, but told through a boy, you know, a boy's voice, a white boy's voice, or supposedly white boy's voice. And this book is incredible. It's riveting, it's funny, and I've never sort of felt so much of what it felt like to actually be a slave. I mean, it just it's incredible. And to live in this society, you know, he describes how people look at you, and at one point he's sort of passing for white. It's a hysterical scene that you know he puts in there, and hysterical and awful. And suddenly everyone's looking at him differently, you know, and it's just such a powerful book. And total page turner. I couldn't put it down, and it's tremendous.
And it comes out next week, right?
Comes out on Tuesday, next week.
Perfect.
I haven't read it yet, but I've been hearing nothing but incredible things about it for
our friend Ann Patchett loves it. So
you got it. And you don't have to read Huckleberry Finn. I mean, you don't. I mean, it's be a little bit different experience, but you absolutely do not have to read Huckleberry Finn to love this book and get so much out of it.
Perfect.
And it's so exciting to see Percival Everett, who has been writing for decades, have his moment, like with the American Fiction winning an Oscar last, the movie based on Erasure, and now this book coming out next week.
I would be reading James very carefully, because I saw the movie and my pathology, and make sure he's not playing games with it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting. There's a whole
remember what you quote. Remember what happened with American Dirt. Not to bring that up sore subjects, but no, it's I just saw the movie. It was hilarious, I'm dying to read James. I've been reading for Sales Conference the last few weeks, so that's tonight I start James, so I'm gonna crack it.
I also want to read The Treats, which was shortlisted for the Booker.
Awesome. Okay, Andrea. We might get to all three of your books, but maybe, I don't know. We're going to work on it.
I don't have a last book.
That sounds amazing. This is something completely different. This is a spare and beautifully written grief memoir. It's called Hereafter by a debut author, Amy Lynn. A small format 1999 hardcover. It looks really good on the shelves, and it will feel good in your hands when you pick this up. And this is about Amy's losing her husband at age 31. He went out for a run one day. I think they were living in Toronto at the time, and he didn't come back alive. And so it's about Amy's dealing with this excruciating pain and grief, navigating her own health issues that ensued after, and finding a way to move forward. The writing is really what sets this apart. It's absolutely gorgeous. And then it's getting reviews from Lauren Groff. She says, "It has been years since I have been so rocked, so moved by any book as I have been by Hereafter, by the earthquaking new talent, Amy Lynn. Lynn invites us into this place of exquisite pain and beauty. What a great gift she has given us." Laura Vanderberg says, "Hereafter is a searing account of a young couple's lost future and a writer's descent into a soul-ravaging, shape-shifting wilderness of grief. Amy Lynn writes with devastating clarity about the wounds that do not heal, the stories that remain forever fractured in love's enduring force. This is a profound and essential memoir." And then Carmen Machado, this is just it's a wide range of writers who love this book and are obviously, recognizing the talent of this young woman. I think she's somebody to watch for sure. Carmen Machado says, "How gorgeously Hereafter tackles the twin specters of grief and survival, a steely symphonic memoir of unexpected loss and what necessarily unbearably comes next." Okay, check this out. Starred reviews from Kirkus, Booklist, Library Journal, Elle, like so off of the book page reviews coming in early. And here she is. This woman is beautiful inside and out. I had a chance to meet her at sales conference in November in New York, and she's really impressive and just lovely. And it's always nice to see that, right? That these authors that are going out in the world and doing well are good people. So there you go.
I love it. Andrea, I think if you're ready, why don't you do your third book so that we don't rush through, and so that way you get your third book in. So
yeah, sure. Let me just
then you can sit and relax and listen to all the other good selections.
Yeah, thank you. That's really kind. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody. I'll definitely do a lightning round with this one. I did talk about this, I'm pretty sure, when it came out in hardcover. The Lioness of Boston. It's a historical novel dealing with the formidable Isabella Stewart Gardner, who with her Gilded Age industrialist husband put together an amazing museum that rivals any of the private museums in this country and actually the world. It's pretty amazing, that collection there. And it's really well written. And I can't help but think that this is going to do really well at Warwick's in trade paperback because of the whole book club element. I mean, this just like cries out for people for book club picks. And so I think that this is going to do very well for Warwick's over time, and very exciting. David R. Godine, publisher, fine literary publisher out of the Boston area.
I love Godine books too. He's
Yeah.
got a good eye for that.
Yeah.
Very well written. So it's a good one. That's a good
Yep.
one. I love
Yep.
the good cover.
Like a Godine book.
Really good cover.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have to go, just give us a wave, but hopefully you'll stay and listen for a few more minutes.
Yeah, I've got about 15 more minutes to hang out. So thank you.
Perfect. All right. Okay, Tom, what do you got
Okay,
next?
so my next book also was out last week, I think, or the week before. The Achilles Trap by Steve Coll. So the subtitle gives you an idea: Saddam Hussein, the CIA, and the origins of America's invasion of Iraq. So Steve Coll is one of our very best investigative journalists and then writers. He's won 2 Pulitzers. He's won every award. The last book won the National Book Critics Circle Award. So I guarantee you this will also be out for all the awards, because it's a fully comprehensive look at the many decades-long relationship between the U.S. and Saddam Hussein that led tragically to the war in Iraq. And the ongoing question, we knew, well, ultimately, later on, we knew why we went to war, and the over lies, basically. But why did Saddam Hussein not make it more clear that he didn't have weapons of mass destruction? And so that's what's explored a lot in this book. And there's hubris on both sides, arrogance on both sides. So he really it's all new material. So and Steve won the Pulitzer first book. He won the Pulitzer Prize for his reporting for newspapers, but then a second Pulitzer Prize for Ghost Wars, which was about the Bin Ladens. So really, this is telling this is related to that first book, Ghost Wars. And also we can learn, if we could ever learn, our country could learn from the mistakes of this period right now in real time. Whether we're willing to look at the past and do that, I can't say, but this is going to be one of those, Father's Day. This is going to sell all through the year, continue to get incredible reviews. It's the Achilles Trap.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, Penguin Press is the publisher. It's like they take their time, and their authors take their time, but when the books come, they're like this.
Yeah, and it's like you said, hopefully we can learn from not repeating ourselves.
Yeah, it's terrible.
All right, Gabe.
I think people have learned it's just political expediency surpasses
Yeah,
realities.
true.
But that's just cynical Gabe. Optimistic. Fun, Gabe. Gonna bring you a fun book today. It's gonna rock your world and your taste buds.
Put on the happy hat.
Right, I can go. That's a beauty. I'm a salesman. I can go whatever you need. Tears. Flavorama, a quick guide to unlocking the art and science of flavor by Ariel Johnson, who is a food. She's a flavor scientist. She got a PhD in flavor. And what is flavor? Flavor is basically molecules. Flavor molecules that are released, flavor molecules that are swirled around and mixed in with other flavor molecules and produce aromas that you sent through your nose and your taste, which is connected to your olfactory glands and blood bulb and stuff. There is this thing called the olfactory bulb, which we're sort of programmed to absorb smells into like our most intimate regions of our memories. So, you know, like a smell will bring back a memory. We're culturally programmed. Like, I'm not a huge fan of certain kinds of food, and when I smell it, I'm kind of like, it's not. But you know, you throw me by a Mexican kitchen or by an Indian restaurant, it's just like, you know, you start salivating and your olfactory bulb kicks in, and you go places in your mind. But it's all about how flavors are combined and flavors are created. We always joke. I like grape soda. You know, grape soda does not taste like grape. Why? Who created that flavor? Well, it was a collection of molecules that they thought they came together. They mixed the 10th of a 100th of a gram of this and a 1,000th of a microgram of that, and they came up with this flavor. Though those, you know, my favorite popsicles are the yellow ones. What flavor is that? You know, it's not orange and it's not the red flavor, but it's the yellow flavor. So, you know, we've heard them. I want the purple flavor. I want the yellow in my house. It's not like I want the banana, or because I don't know what it is, but I like the yellow. I like those yellow popsicles, and I like them. I like that grape soda and certain candies. I like the green ones, but they're not the apple flavor green ones. They're just that green flavor. So there's that. And then sometimes I was somewhere and I bit into like a plum flavored candy, a Japanese, and it tasted like I was biting into a plum. I could feel the peel and everything. So it's possible to create, but that was the flavor that they came up with. Anyways, a lot of different fun facts. It's sciencey. It's fun. I threw an Alton Brown quote on the cover here because if Alton Brown doesn't know what he's talking about, nobody does. I think it's a pretty specific book, but it is geared towards chefs. It is geared to people who cook. It is geared for people who want to understand flavors. So it's kind of a cool, not kind of, I think it's a very cool idea. And
I hope that people remember it for the holidays because it seems like a really good gift book for somebody that you don't know what to buy somebody.
actually, that's true. And
You know,
the last
so-
thing I'm going to say, like heat, like when you eat a pepper, the capsaicin isn't like it isn't your taste buds. It's attacking you're feeling it. So it's activating pain and irritation glands is what heat does, capsaicin, whatever that heat
Yeah.
thing is. And it's not flavor, but it's like a sense of touch. So it's all these cool things that you, anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, honestly, because it's like I know it's March and my brain will forget, but I swear it's a great gift book for
I'll keep
somebody.
it in the
that-
back of my
Yeah.
head.
Oh, I also think it would be great for bartenders,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
for like, you know, high-end bartenders,
Right. You're
not
dealing
necessarily
with
somebody who's like
subtle
mixing a
flavors.
rum and coke.
Andrea,
wow.
I wanted to tell you before you head off, the Barbara's on here. Her book club actually read The Lioness of Boston back at when it
In
was
hardcover.
hardcover.
Nice
so.
work.
Yeah.
Nice work. I hope you enjoyed it.
All right, Julia.
Okay, Gabe gave me a good lead in because I'm talking about a cookbook
There we go.
called Jang, the Soul of Korean Cooking. So this, like it says, features gochujang, doenjang, and ganjang, which are the different jangs in Korean cooking. You can see some of these great recipes here, and both sweet and savory.
Go back to that
And-
shortbread.
All of them.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to show, it has my favorite dedication page ever, which is this hand in the jang, like making the jang, which I think is great. And then it has this great dedication to her, the women that sort of taught her to work with these different flavors. So I don't know if you're like me, I'm a person who likes to explore different kinds of cooking, but was trained, in the kind that my family did, which is for me, Italian cooking. You know, and sort of exploring these new flavors and how to use some ingredients that I haven't really used a lot. This is a great book to sort of introduce you to those flavors and how to use them within your cooking. And so then you can sort of branch out from there. But it's really, it breaks it down to these 3 different kinds of jong and sort of like how you use them. And it's a great cookbook. It's a gorgeous cookbook. I really can't say enough good things about it. I've been having a great time sort of looking through it and making recipes with it.
I bet.
So,
Now we got Mother's Day coming up. That's a good Mother's
yes,
Day.
there you go.
All
That's a good Mother's Day.
Yep. All right, Kim.
Yeah, I'm totally
Good
getting
Kor- good
that
Korean-
and
good Korean
Flavorama.
food in
They both sound amazing.
And good Korean food in LA. Really good Korean food in LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Kim, what do you got for us?
Okay, my next book, I'm not sure if you guys already did this or not. Oh no, you can't have done this. I'm sorry. Okay. My next book is Graham Moore's upcoming book, The Wealth of Shadows. I'd never read him before, and this actually, I thought this was already out for some reason. I don't know why I was thinking that today, because I gave my arc to John, and I knew last week that it hadn't come out yet. It comes out in May, I'm sorry, but it's fantastic. And it's historical fiction, and it's a spy thriller. And it starts right before World War II. It's like 1939, and the U.S. is officially neutral. And there's it's reminded me of this. There's a lot of people in the United States who are communist sympathizers and Nazi sympathizers, like a lot. And stuff was being reported about the atrocities, but people weren't necessarily believing it. And anyway, the main character so that's sort of the setting where people are sort of in denial, I think, and but some people in America are very, very, very concerned. They're terrified. And one of these people is the main character of this book, and all the characters and all the events are closely based on real people and events. And he's a tax attorney from Minneapolis. He's young. He has a young baby, and he is approached to see if he'd be willing to join a secret division of the state treasury department, a very small group of eclectic people, to take down the German economic, take down the German economy. It's post World War I. Germany was devastated. They had no economy. They had no money. And somehow, through the ingeniousness of this shot guy, they became a war machine, incredibly powerful. And so without military involvement, the US secretly wanted to take that down and stop the war. Germany had just invaded Poland, and of course it would be France would be next. And anyway, so he joins this group, and it's just fascinating as they try to devise ways to secretly take down the German economy. And they have all these great ideas, but each of them gets shot down for various reasons. And they eventually, a lot happens. They eventually have success, and it's very sneaky, and the power plays, it's a thriller, but with this economic bent that's so incredibly interesting. And it ends up with how sort of the IMF evolved and all that. So it's incredibly interesting. I can't recommend it highly enough. And I didn't think economics could be this interesting, but it really is.
It sounds cool.
He wrote the Sherlockian, correct?
He did, yeah. Yeah. You can't put this book down. The chapters are
he's
super
good.
short. It's really good.
Yeah.
And I learned so much.
Yeah, it would be really good. Excellent. Thank you. All right, we're going to lightning round. Tom?
Okay, I have a lightning round now. I printed out the cover for this book. It makes it look like it's the biggest book in the world, like one of those large, there was a time in publishing when we did like children's books for classrooms, and they were like this, huge book. This is just a paperback, a regular size paperback, Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. So out tomorrow, I think it's out tomorrow, and it'll be a fantastic, book club book. So just to remind you, Jenny Jackson is an editor at Knopf and editor of some of, I remember it was many of Steve's favorite books. She's the editor of Emily St. John Mandel, J. Courtney Sullivan, Gabrielle Zevin. But this is her first novel, and she came to Pam Dorman, one of my favorite editors at Viking, and Pamela Dorman Books, to publish her first novel. So I always love hearing about the interplay between two editors as they, it's not easy for an editor to edit another editor. But it's set in the world of Brooklyn, of like the 1% in Brooklyn Heights, very, very wealthy family, 3 women, 2 daughters and a daughter-in-law. The daughter-in-law is middle class, and she's come into this family. So it's about class, of course, but it's family, love. It's just an addictive read. Was one of our biggest hits of last year. Good Morning America pick. It just had everything going for it. So it's going to be a great paperback. I love that we're publishing it now, carrying it right through the summer. It'll sell all through the summer. It was one of Vogue's best books of the year, and they called it a delicious new Gilded Age family drama, a guilty pleasure that also feels like a sociological text because it operates on different levels. But it's super readable, really fun.
Yep.
Pineapple Street, the enormous Pineapple Street.
And Kim's on here saying that, is it Kim? Hold on, I got to see who's saying this. No, Dee. She read Pineapple Street, said it was a great debut, loved it. And also, Mary Lee, I think in the store, loved it.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't know when, I'm sure we'll have another book from her. I don't know when, but I'm sure there'll be another one. I know it's for readers. If you also read remember The Paper Palace from Riverhead? That's the same reader.
Yeah, love that book.
That manuscript must have been pretty darn clean.
I know.
It must have been like, I'm sure the editor didn't have to do much on it.
I'm sure that's right.
But it's one of those things too, though, that an editor sort of has to, don't you think, put their little take?
I think so. And also and I remember talking to Pam Dorman, the editor, because she worked with, there's also a British editor involved. And so the 2 of them were editing. Yeah, I'm sure you're right. But whatever things they wanted to suggest they had to do lightly.
Yeah. Honestly. Too fun.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Andrea. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks. Good to see everybody.
Good seeing you too. All right, Gabe, what you got?
I got Silverbone by Andrei Kurkov.
Good cover.
Good cover. So Kurkov is a Ukrainian writer. I've heard some people say he's the Ukrainian Stieg Larsson. Others say he's the Ukrainian Japanese guy.
Ishiguro?
Murakami? No, Murakami. Really weird, far away comparisons.
Yeah, just a little.
Comparisons I've ever seen. But he is his own writer. I would say this is reminded me more of, just in flavor and text, like the Martin Cruz Smith's book, Gorky Park. It reminded me a little bit of one of Tom's favorite books, David Benioff's.
City of Thieves.
City of Thieves, because it's definitely very Ukrainian, Russian adjacent. That literature is very similar. As we've seen, there's a lot of overlap. But the voice is a terrific writer. It is a thriller mystery, again, very literary, but it is a thriller set in between the wars, 1919 Kiev, and Sansom Kolechko is a young man who is an engineering major, architect major, and he is on his way to this protest. His father intervenes as he's about to get cut down. So his father's murdered by the Russians, who are there are 6 factions, the Russians being one of them, that want to own Ukraine, right? So the Kiev is surrounded by various armies. Everybody's jockeying for position as we get over the First World War, and there's a lot of politics afoot. So what's going on here is Samson gets caught up in all of a sudden. So his father gets killed because of him. So now he's an orphan. So now he's pissed. He wants vengeance. What he gets instead is he's got his little flat that's now his own because his dad's not there. But the Russian army, the Red Army, commandeer his house, his apartment, his flat, and so he's got to share it with 2 Russian soldiers, Soviet soldiers, and he overhears them plotting some stuff. And so he's like, what do I do? So he decides he's going to turn them in, and in the process becomes involved in Kiev's brand new policing agency. And his first case involves a Silverbone, a very oddly tailored suit made of some fine British material. And he's got to figure out what's going on. So, Kurikov apparently spent like months in the basements and microfiche and dusty paper researching Kiev's early policing documents. There's a lot of authenticity here, some really good history, and just a really good fun page turner. Ultimately.
Okay, wait a minute. There's a hot tip coming in from Beth that the Silver Bone just longlisted for the Booker.
The Booker.
Woo, woo, woo.
Give me some time, girl. Everybody's ahead
Come
of
on
me.
now. Come on.
Talk about book nerds.
Our T-Type people are having so much fun on the chat because Tom, back to Pineapple Street, they all read it before it became the thing because of Tea Time. So
That's right. In the know here.
In the know. I think we should rename this or rebrand this to You Heard It Here First.
Exactly.
It's like you heard it here first, folks. But Silver Bones, that it sounds a little bit like it might be Little Smell a Sense of Snow, maybe.
It got a little, yeah, it's definitely a lot.
And then one of my favorites, Constellation of Vital Phenomenon.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, that was good. That was like the Chechen War, and so that had
Yeah.
that whole thing going on.
Yeah.
So this sounds right up my alley. Hint, hint, hint,
I'll send you. Huh?
hint, hint.
Anthony Mara was the Constellation of Vital.
And he is so good.
Yeah.
Love it. I spilled a Coke on him when I met him. So an everlasting memory I'm sure he has of me. Some of my favorite things. And before I just want to let people know that after we're done with Julia and Kim, you don't say you have a book. I think for a few minutes.
Actually, I have one.
But I might cut you off, but I don't know.
It's really short.
Okay, quick. Because I want to spend some time talking about the Oscars and some of the adaptations. So I do want to talk about that.
There's so many, yeah.
I know. So okay, Julia, you go.
Okay, I will be quick.
You need to be quick.
I have a hard out at 5.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm gonna talk about Conscious Grieving by Claire Bidwell Smith. If you don't know Claire Bidwell Smith, she is the person to read about grief. She is such an amazing author, and she has written a number of books about grief. And she's so stunningly good at writing and talking about it. I have had so many accounts I've met with people talk about how much their sections and their books about grief are selling at their store. It feels like there's a collective, like, we're not doing great, sensation. I feel like everyone's like, I need the softest book, like novel that you can give me, and then like the most hardcore book on grief or a horror novel. Like that's what
Pretty much sums it up.
Everyone. Yeah, exactly. So
our cultural moment right now.
Yeah, exactly. So our cultural moment is Doing okay. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that to people's attention that Claire Bidwell Smith, you know, this book is coming out tomorrow in paper, or yeah, it's a paperback original. It's called Conscious Grieving, and I'll also just say that anything that Claire Bidwell Smith writes, you should read. She is a stunningly good author. Every single book I've read of hers, I've heard her speak a number of times. She is always just like, has my full attention. So,
And honestly, I have started to, I used to be, I'm not doing grief events because I was just like, nobody's going to come, blah, blah. And all of a sudden it's like, no, I think there's an audience out there for grief events right now. And so we've got a couple on the slate because I do think it's a conversation that people are wanting to like have more information about and just like want to share that. So love that Claire's
And
got a
maybe
good
be
book
in
for
a
that.
group setting to hear about it too.
To hear about it
Be
too.
with
Well,
other
it's
people.
yeah, where it's just like, you know, we're not alone in this, and you know, yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of people coming in for grief books.
Yep. I love it. Soft fiction, grief, and horror. That is like, we just need to have a section of that. Just put a new section out.
yeah, what's wrong with all of us? There you
soft
go.
fiction, grief, and horror. Love it. All right, Kim.
I'm gonna wait, Julie. I'll do it next week.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I want.
Give us a teaser of at least what we're going to talk about.
Okay, it's coming out next week, so I might as
Okay,
well wait
then
till
talk
next
about
week.
it next week. All right. Disappointing affirmations. Oh, that's the book I got for Amanda. Talk about it next week.
Yeah, that's
It's
yeah,
so funny.
Very
It's
funny.
so great.
It's so good.
It's so good. Okay, so let's talk about real quick the all the adaptations, which D, you're on here talking about. Yeah, grief is a sneaky bitch is the in-store event that I'm having. Amanda put that in the okay,
Gabe on the
who's
spot as always?
Gabe? Look at
Poor
you. Is that
Things.
yours?
That was Poor Things with Harper.
Poor Things was you?
I want to know. I
Hint,
want to
hint.
know how different Poor Things the movie was from the book. I bet a lot different.
Who read it? I don't know.
I'm not, you know, first time I saw it was when they popped it up. I'd never heard of it. So
It's
I
an
just
old.
knew
It's
it
very
was-
very old. I think.
Well, they're old. I mean, Oppenheimer, American Prometheus is old.
Yeah.
Killers of the Flower Moon's not new. So the Zone of Interest, though, that's the one that really piqued my interest a little bit because that's the Martin Ames book, right?
Yeah.
Anybody here read it?
No, but I know that that's another one where they threw out, it's just like a little bit of the book, the idea of the book is in
Okay.
the movie, but they threw out most of it.
Because as I was reading about the book last night when I was watching this, I was like, okay, this doesn't sound like it was a very serious book. It was because they talk about a lot of humor in it. And I'm going, the topic of what they were talking about the movie was versus what the book, I was confused. So I was hoping
When
that
I've seen the
somebody-
movie, it's not a lot of humor.
No, that's what I didn't think.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is the book? I don't know. So was the movie good?
I don't know how I feel. Yes, it's good. I mean, it's
It
definitely
looked
worth
weird. It
seeing.
looked a little weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely different. I mean, it's totally disturbing because you're watching a family, middle class family in this society as they live their lives next to Auschwitz, and but you never see what's happening on the other side. You just hear.
Oh
And
my
it's-
God.
Yeah, that's why they won sound design, because it's the movie, the meaning of the movie is in the sound.
Wow.
Because wasn't it, who was the general? Who was the general that made all the Germans go through? Was it Dachau or Auschwitz? Because they believed that it wasn't really happening and that even they were like the neighbors,
Oh, I
like in
don't
real
know.
life.
I mean,
think it
this
was
is based on a
Auschwitz.
real person who ran the camp, but lived in the house next door.
Yeah.
On
But one of
something.
they had truckloads of German citizens who lived next to these camps, went through the camps after the Americans came through
Forced them to see what they had
and
overlooked.
forced them
Yeah.
to see
What
that
they
what they
ignored.
were denying was happening literally right
Oh
next
yeah,
door.
could have been him
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. It was one of the generals. I can't remember who the general was that made it that forced them to
But
do
it's a
it.
fascinating film. I mean, I'm sure the book is good, just completely different, and that's why I bet Poor Things. Having seen Poor Things too, I have to believe the book is different too.
So you did see Poor Things too. Okay, that looks like a wild ride of a movie.
Yes. Anybody else see Poor Things? No.
My mother texted me a review of American Fiction, which is Erasure by Percival Everett while we were on this call, which
Oh.
is that I would appreciate it. And the publishing business is trashed, but in a good way. So
Those publishing,
Mother's-
those publishing
Mother's-
conversations. Oof.
Mother's pithy reviews.
that's my mom's review that she
Yeah.
did text me while we've been on this call.
The publishing angle in that movie is
I
it
love
hits
it.
a little too close to home sometimes.
I told her we probably deserve it.
So
Well,
what's
yeah,
Erasure?
those-
Erasure is the name of that. Is the name?
Of
Yeah,
the
that's
novel
the
is
name of the book.
Erasure by Percival Everett. But the movie is American Fiction.
Tom, sounds to me like you're one of those that sees all the movies that are nominated for Academy
I
Awards.
don't always. This year, I made it a point to see all the movies. I saw them all.
All 10?
Wow.
All 10.
Wow.
Surprised myself.
I wish I had a gold star to give you.
It's a good crop of movies. I mean, I didn't love them all equally, but
Yeah.
a good year for movies.
So Barbie was based on a book, the Mattel book.
Yeah.
So
Listen,
Or-
Ryan Gosling should win an Oscar for that
Yeah.
performance.
That was
That
fantastic.
Hilarious.
was the best
Can
thing
I-
that's happened
that was the best part of the whole show.
Yeah.
Well,
by far.
but I won't get political, but I'm going to get political. So is Jimmy Kimmel reading his review.
His
Tweets.
review.
Yeah, we all have to run to the phone to see, is it really? Of course it is. The morons on.
Like I was scrolling immediately.
Also, Kate McKinnon. Kate McKinnon was hilarious.
I know,
She-
Always.
and I think Steven Spielberg was surprisingly hilarious
I
twice.
do
Yeah.
too.
Twice.
And I don't
With
think
it,
of him
he
as
was
being a
with it.
funny guy, but he played along really
He
nice.
kind of went along with it. So so really good. I mean, here's the thing with Hollywood and with movies, and it's like we all get caught up on like right now, like even when I do events, it's like, oh, are there movie rights? People don't understand that like a book and a movie, first of all, are two totally different things typically. And it's years before
That's
a
right.
movie. A book could be out, 10, 15 years before the movie finally gets
But
out.
also, I love that they talked about the producer who gave Christopher Nolan the book that Oppenheimer is based on. Like
Right.
books are a big part of that whole.
Right. People just handing stuff because American Prometheus had already been out for a long time
Yeah,
before
yeah.
Nolan even got his hands on it.
We used to, when I was at Book Soup, we used to do a display that was like books we wish were movies because the people who shop at Book Soup, a lot of them make movies. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
we used to do a whole display of that. That I was
Super
like,
smart.
Yeah.
I'd be
And, like,
selling
there
my
were-
services. Give it away.
There were a couple of times where you would put a book in someone's hand, and then if you read the trades, like they had bought the rights to it a few weeks later. It was always like kind of fun. But
I love that.
But buying the rights and getting it made are two much
yeah.
different things.
Wildly,
Yeah,
wildly
exactly.
different things happening. Because it all comes
Exactly.
down to money, first of all,
Mhm.
and who they can attach to it.
Yeah. Up
directors
in the air. What's director's name? Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman. He bought that at Book Soup during an event or something like that. Like he
Oh,
was
wow.
like, and yeah, there's a couple that like we would see. I don't know.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. All right, everybody. Great books. Gave you hopefully another from the Oscars. I know there were a couple that I want to go out and read for sure. And Poor Things was one of them because I was like, I think that sounds like a book that would be because I like reading something weird every once in a while. That sounds like
Yeah,
it would be weird.
I'm curious about the book. Yeah.
Also, can I just plug? I know it's not my book. I think it's Tom's book. If you haven't read Killers of the Flower Moon, you
Oh,
should
yeah.
absolutely read it.
Yeah, it's actually I think Liz Campior's book. It's okay. You got to go, Gabe.
Gotta go.
Okay, peace out.
Peace
Good seeing
out,
you.
y'all.
Thank you.
Everybody next week.
Killers of the Flower Moon was Steve's book.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It's Liz Campior now. I mean,
Got it.
okay, here's what's interesting about that. And we can go on a few minutes longer on the live, I think. My daughter's age group loves it, and she's in her early 30s. So it reaches a wide range of readers, that book does. I thought it would be more interesting to like my age and
Oh, that's interesting.
but
Well, I think it stabs at the heart of like some of sort of America's original sin that I think that generation
is all about.
is like, hello, like look around us. We have to deal with this at some point because like we're not doing great not
Right.
dealing with it.
Right.
As
And
you
so,
pointed,
yeah.
as you pointed out in your genre, all the
Yes,
genres we're reading.
exactly,
in.
exactly.
But
So-
and I to that point, I think, I mean, I love that movie, so I'm biased, but it didn't win a thing last night because it's too painful to. I think the Academy just didn't want to deal.
I agree.
I was shocked by that. I mean, disappointed, shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, really? Really? Really?
Truly, if you haven't watched it, I do recommend it, and also the book.
The book is,
it's not a
the book
Hachette
is-
book, but it's a great book.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing. All right, everybody. Great reads for you this week. Got some teasers for next week, Kim. And yeah, some good stuff. So we will see everybody. I may not be on next week. Amanda, you and I gotta talk. I might be on. I don't know. We'll have to see. Well, I might be coming you from my hostage crisis center, which is my office with the bad bookcases in the back. So my crisis center of an office.
Because you're
at
getting
the
ready
store.
for an event, or
Yeah, we got an event next week. So we'll have to see. But either one way or another, we'll all be around. We'll
tea
be here to
time. Tea
recommend.
time will be here.
Tea time will be here. So all right, everyone. See ya.